Welcome back to episode 331 of the Tall Boy Radio podcast. And as we always say, who knows where it goes when the beer flows? Well, that beer is heading out into the woods or urban areas or wherever you might find a geocache once more. Because yes, we are completing our series of 3 episodes that we've done about geocaching. But before I say hello to our guest, I want to say hello to some new locations where there may be geocaches there, there may not. I don't know. Maybe our guest's been there. We'll find out. So last time I left you, we were on 102 countries. Now we're up to 107. So I'm going to say a big welcome to Kyrgyzstan, the Ivory Coast, Slovenia, Uruguay, and Ecuador. Logan, hello. How are you doing? Have you ever geocached?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm very good, thank you. Have you ever geocached in any of those places?
I have not. I've only stuck with the United States and a little bit of Canada.
Oh, fair play. I didn't expect when I read those places. I have not been to those places either, and I have not geocached in them. So, as I said, we are going to be doing another episode about geocaching. This will be the 3rd episode that we've done. We were joined by Scott Perks previously of the Geocaching podcast. We were joined by the Hailmeister of the YouTube channel, Geocaching with the Hailmeister. And Logan, so tell us a little bit about your name then, the Geocaching Ninja. Before we get into how you got started in geocaching, let's find out about that curious name of yours.
So with the name Geocaching Ninja, I've actually, if anyone has seen the show Ninja Warrior, I know it's been in a few different countries. The most popular has been American Ninja Warrior, been going on for about 18 years now. I started training for that sport around 15 years ago, and me and my dad started building a couple obstacles in our backyard, started getting into it that way. I started training in an actual gym setting maybe about 10, 12 years ago. Got really into it. I've gotten to as far as was competing in the World Ninja League and placed 21st overall in my age group in the entire world. And that was about 2-3 years ago. But decided to make that part of my geocaching name because that's kind of what I'm known for. Whenever I go out, that's what people know me by. I'll climb a million different things to get something.
That's it. So we'll share a link to your Instagram in the show notes for the audio episode. And if you do, you'll find, I've seen your Instagram, there's plenty of pictures of you in trees and all sorts of locations, places I couldn't dream of being able to reach and climb up to like I said at the start, I'm far too fat and my knees are far too dicky to be able to do stuff like that. But no, yeah, it honestly looks fantastic. Ninja Warrior, dude, I mean, like you say, it's a pretty athletic hobby to have. So how does that fit in then with your geocaching? Because that in itself, for those of you who may not have listened to the previous episodes, tell us a little bit about what geocaching involves.
So what geocaching involves, it's you can download the app, and on the app, it'll give you all kinds of different icons that you can navigate to. And they can be as simple as it takes you to a dead-end road, a guardrail that you're finding something magnetic on the guardrail. It can take you to a tree that's going to be zip tied to a branch of a tree. Or if it's a bigger terrain that you know of and it's a tree climb attribute, got to climb up the tree. Or people hide them in all kinds of different places. You may have to go on a kayak trail and go along the water to go on a bike trail. Anything that gets you out in the world, people are going to hide things just to make it fun, and you can do as little or as much as you want. If you just want to do the biking ones, just do the biking ones. If you just want to do the driving in the parking lots, go do that. It's totally adaptable to what your skill level is and what you find fun.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right there. And when you're looking at them as well, they give you a little bit of information, what the terrain's like, so you know what's expected of you when you arrive there. So for yourself, then, do you pick out based on the terrain where you think this one is going to be particularly challenging? You're a guy obviously who physically looks after himself, a little bit more capable. I get out of breath just walking around the office sometimes. But if do you target those ones that are in the background that you have there for those watching on the video and those more rural locations?
Sometimes I do target them. I don't tend to be like going for necessarily like very specific ones like other geocachers may. I'll tend to get the ones that like they're just along the path to my next destination. But every now and then I'll be like, I'm done with these parking lot finds. I want to like go climb a tree, like get a little bit more energy expended. And if it has like, because each geocache has like a 1 to 5 difficulty, 1 to 5 terrain, I may look for those like 3 or higher terrains because I know it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, but it's going to add that like fun feature to it.
Oh, fair play. And someone's commented on this. I don't know if you know them. DanNat763 of YouTube said, I remember our kayak trip. I was exhausted. Is that somebody you know by any chance?
I've done a couple of kayak trips, but that is, what was the name of that username?
DANAP763.
I believe that possibly maybe my dad. And I had a trail of 13 geocaches along a kayak trail, but it wasn't like a creek or anything. It was an actual river. And going downstream, totally fine. Coming backstream, like you were putting out like the most energy you could just to get back to the boat ramp.
Wow, that is impressive. I mean, so how much ability did you have kayaking then? Because I've got to be honest, I don't think I have that level of balance to get in a kayak.
So with there's a couple different types of kayaks. Mine is just there's no cover over it, so like your legs are exposed, all that. There's ones that like you can put your legs in and you're a little bit more like protected by like being able to like freely move a little bit better. And it's not a lot of balance actually required to get on. It's more so like the most amount of balance it takes is to actually get in the kayak. Once you're on the water, it's completely fine.
Yeah, I'd be done. I'll be done at that level. I would have been done at that level. So at the very start, then you said like when you get your map, you've downloaded the geocaching app, which you can get for free, and or you can get the paid version as well, which it's 30 quid here in the UK a year, which I don't think is too bad really. Less than £3 a month. Get yourself out in the wilderness, get some fresh air. I drag my kids out with me. One of them begrudgingly. The other one loves to do it, gets bored quite quickly. But you know, it gets them away from screen time, even though I do have a screen in my hand. But those little icons then that are on there, tell us about the different types that there are and the different the different types that you can target.
So the most basic one, the one that people are going to go to first, it's going to be called a traditional geocache. That's the green icon on the map. And if you're just downloaded it, then get the premium version yet, you can find up to like a 2 difficulty, 2 terrain. And those are going to be more simple. You're just going up to parking lots. It's going to be a quick like find in a tree. It's not going to require anything that like you're going to have to climb like a steep mountain for, or you're going to have to find like something really small among like a whole entire like say artwork piece. It's going to be more basic, just get you like attached to the game a little bit more, so you know like what you're kind of looking for, the terminology on certain aspects of the game, different attributes that they kind of want you to focus on.
Cool.
And then after the traditional, it's next one will kind of be like a multi-cache. That's orange icon. It's going to take you to the first stage, and the first stage can either be a container of some sort or like maybe a mini field puzzle, they call it, that you kind of have to solve a little like game at that first stage that'll give you like numbers, which would be coordinates, to then navigate to the next stage. And it could be anything from a simple like it's 50 feet away, it could be 2 miles down the road. You have those, you have a mystery cache, you're trying to solve something on the cache page, more so than not. And it can be something that's like a simple math equation to get you your numbers. I've done one that it was actually one of my favorite puzzles I was able to solve. It gave you a map and it said the cache is right here. and gave you an arrow, but you had to figure out, well, what do I have to do with this? Turns out the map had specific lines, and it was a map of sewer drains in the area. You actually had to go onto like a sewer drain website to get a certain code out of a like certain sewer line and input that into the geocache for it to give you final coordinates. And it was like a 5 difficulty, and I was surprised when I was able to figure it out.
Wow, I was gonna say, dude, and hello to Coffee Lover 79 who says, "Hey yo," by the way. But yeah, how on earth, dude? I don't even think the idea of looking inside a sewer certainly would
Mhm.
ever come into my head, dude. How long did it take you to figure that out?
So a lot of puzzles I put into like a list of the like, if I can't, I'll take a look at it for like 5, 10 minutes. If I can't figure it out, I'm going to put it on a list. I'll look at it later. And I'll look at a puzzle every single day because there's just going to be a day that it like clicks in your head all of a sudden. And I probably was on like day 4 or 5 before it finally clicked. And then I was able to get those solved coordinates in a matter of like 5 minutes.
Fair play, dude. I don't think I'd figure that out at all. That's impressive. I mean, who comes up with these things in there? You know, the people who obviously there's people who put a lot of effort into hiding stuff like that. We'll get to hiding things a little bit later. Because the other type of cache that I wanted to ask you about is earth caches as well. Have you done many of those?
I have done about 50 of those. They're not my favorite in the world, but every now and then, geocachers go for statistics. Numbers is a big thing for a lot of people, and it's how many different types of icons you can get in a single day. My record is 12 icons in a day, so that'd be like a traditional multi mystery earth cache, and it just keeps on going on and on. So some of those days are like, all right, I have to like go for an earth cache where you're going to have to solve a geology related like couple questions on the site. It can bring you to a really cool waterfall. It could bring you to like any like earth formation. And some of them are fun, or some of them like you really have to take a deep dive into reading what it wants you to do. They're pretty neat. I've done ones that you have to measure the speed of the water that's going along the river, and you may have to like drop like a stick at one end and see how much it travels in the span of like 5 seconds, and they can be pretty neat.
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool. To be fair, I'm not. The only ones I've done so far are the traditional ones. And like I said, we said in the green room there at the start, as we affectionately call it, that we since we had Scott Burks on and he talked us through it. And I don't know, we said you're familiar with him, you're familiar with his podcast. Very very passionate guy, and he sold me on the idea. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I downloaded the app that night, got the paid version because I didn't want to miss out. And I was fascinated to find that literally, within a stone's throw of my house, there was a geocache that I must have
Mhm.
walked past 500 times or more and had no idea that it was there. It was hidden there. I've never seen anybody circling around looking for it or anything like that. Or if I had, I just presumed they were picking up dog muck or something like that. You know what I mean? And yeah, so we went and we found it. Blew me. Well, actually, I didn't find it. The wife found it, which was a bit annoying. But it was great to go and get that first one. Then we got a few more that day. Then we went out the next day. We did some more, and then we've done it every weekend ever since. And like I said to you, I'm off to Wales this weekend, off to an island called Anglesey, and we're going to be doing it there. Now there aren't a load there, and like I say, I've only done the traditional kind, but there is also an earth cast there, so I may have to just burst my duck on that one. It's an unusual one because it's obviously, like you say, it's by the sea. I was telling you, it's in a bay, and you can only take it. The place you got to take it from, you can only do it at low tide. So you can only stand
Okay.
in this. So I thought that might be quite a cool one to do. Although
And what I recommend with Earth Cache is what I normally do, because the goal with Earth Cache is that owner wants to take you to like a special kind of geological site, and they want you to take your time with it. So what I normally do, I'll grab like a notebook with me and I'll bring it with me. And because they can range anywhere from just answering one question to 5 questions, I'll actually take the time to sit down, write each answer out, take the time to enjoy the site that they are bringing me to.
oh, cool. Oh, no, that's good advice. Thank you. So When you do that though, just out of interest, when you're planning a trip somewhere, and like you said, you've been out of the country, you've been to Canada to do it. How how often do you go on the app beforehand? Do you go on the app before and have a look at what's there, have a click on the ones that you're planning on going to, and try and get a feel for them before you go?
I take a look at the app every single day. And first off, just to like plan trips, I mean, never even go on. But the trips I like do plan on going on, like I just went to Iowa a couple weeks ago, which was about like a 10-hour flight or so, with a couple of layovers, but it would be like a 15 plus hour drive, just straightforward. But before that trip, I was looking at geocaches, solving like all the puzzles in the area 3 months prior, just because I wanted all the knowledge I could possibly have on that. And even with that trip, I went there and I found like 1% of what I could possibly find in that area, because it was just so loaded with the population of caches.
Wow, well, that's
But
cool.
it's always fun, just like taking a look every single day, like, oh, I wish I could go there.
Well, where would be your dream location then? Where have you looked on that app and thought, do you know what, I wouldn't mind to geocache there?
I always, the state of Maine always is, I would love to go there. I've been there once before to a national park there while I was on a cruise, and I would love to go back there. It's just a beautiful area. One place that was in the whole entire world, Brazil, I believe Scott Burks brought that up too. There's a specific icon there. It's called the ape cache, and there's only 2 active in the whole entire world right now. One is in Brazil, one is in Seattle, Washington. And what it was they originally had 8 back like when the game was first starting out. I think it was around like 2002. And each those geocaches, it was a huge ammo can, and inside those were movie props from Planet of the Apes.
What, real ones?
And yep.
That's cool.
But now there's only 2 left, because like a couple that they were hidden got stolen either right away, became lost, something of that nature. But these 2 have been almost like safeguarded in a way, and they are a major travel destination for specifically geocachers.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Oh, I didn't realize there was stuff like that you can go and find. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That is incredible. Bloody hell. Yeah, man, I had no idea. So, I mean, Europe, has that ever been a destination that you'd consider? Have you ever looked?
I heard that the geocache is up in specifically like the UK area, Germany area, like those, that is a premier destination for geocaches. There's a lot of like, they call it like gadget caches or smart caches, that people put a lot of time and effort into those, and they're going to be really fun to complete, solve, sign your name on the log. And I would love to get out in that area at some point.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I have to ask you, I haven't asked you yet, like you say, geocaching is all about statistics. And obviously it means it must be an American thing, because I'm a big fan of American sports, and American sports are obsessed with statistics. There is a statistic for everything. So in terms of yourself, and how many finds have you found so far?
I am up over 8,000 finds, I believe. Right before today, it was 8,000, I think 127.
Impressive. Yeah. How often do you get out and do it then, dude?
I think, so part of this statistics, since I started back in 2020. I was a COVID cacher. When COVID came along, I needed something to do, get me out of the house. So I started this like 2 months later in May. And I think I have found one like basically every 3rd day. It's averaging that I have found one since I started.
That's pretty impressive, dude. I need to step my game up. I need to step my game up. I'm way behind those kind of statistics. I must admit, though, I wish I'd known about this during COVID. The wife was off. She had to work from home. Actually, we had our second child actually during, who was born during COVID, bless him. So she was off on maternity leave. I tell you what, she could have racked my stack. So she just had my phone and gone for it. I would have looked impressive. Well, yeah, really, yeah, that is impressive, dude. So in terms of, that's one aspect, isn't it? Is finding stuff. The other aspect is harding stuff. And I have to say as well, there's a lovely message there from Coffee Lover 79 across the bottom there to recommend that you look at Missouri. They have a geo thing too, and a lovely message there from Auntie Laurie. But yeah, so hiding stuff as well, dude. So we were talking at the start. You've hidden one or two as well, haven't you?
I've hidden up over 100 now, a bunch of different types. So I've hidden like the traditionals, the multis, mysteries. I haven't hidden an earth cache yet, although I do have a couple spots I would like to. Those are just going to take a little bit extra more effort put into it. So I'm going to need like a couple of days off in a row to figure out what I want to do there. But I didn't start my first hide. I was probably like 2,000 finds into the game. And now they recommend you find like 20 before your first hide. So I try and go for really high quality, different types of series. That I have one that brings you to like different fire departments in the area. And then once you go to the different ones, like the final like container that you find is like a fire hydrant, like a 3D printed fire hydrant with a log inside. And I try to make each one a little bit unique so that like those favorite points come rolling in a little bit. People get drawn to my specific caches.
Fair play. So the fire hydrant, did you 3D print it yourself, or is it something you purchased?
It's something I purchased. I don't have my own 3D printer. I know my brother does, so I may have him print me a couple different containers.
That's cool. That is cool. I must admit, I don't know if I know what I was doing with one, but my daughter keeps pestering me for a 3D printer, and although the wife keeps saying no, I'm tempted to say yeah because I want to play with it myself. I could create a few things to hide as well. Like I was saying, I bought my wife something. Like I say, the old romantic that I am, I bought her a bolt, which is a magnetic one which is going to attach to a metal sign. We haven't hit it yet. I'm 20 plus myself. The 20 plus caches so far, like I say, not been as prolific as yourself. I want to get out there, but I want a little bit more experience of what I'm looking for first, because like I said, we've mainly done it locally. Getting out to Wales on the weekend might give me a little bit of inspiration looking at those things. Well, what are the coolest ones that you found then, just out of interest? The most, other than the ones you've hit, what's the most impressive thing that you found while you're looking?
So my most impressive find I did, it was an ammo can as the final. But what the person did, this was back when I took a trip to Oklahoma, and they converted a shed that they had in their yard into an escape room challenge, you can say. And it took you like anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour to complete this whole challenge, like solving all the clues in the escape room and keep on moving into the next level of the room in order to find a key for like the final. But that's how much effort a lot of these people put into their hides. Very impressive.
That is impressive. I mean, there's a little bit of me that be, wandering around an escape room thinking, what have I signed up for here? Is this legit? Is this going to be okay? All jokes aside. No, it is. I mean, the stuff, like I said, the stuff we found have been traditional finds. So I found some impressive looking bolts, the things they did, which is where I got the idea to buy the bolt from. We found one of those. That was the second find. And then, like, mainly it's Tupperware in the woods is what we found. But I couldn't believe it. It was maybe a 10th or 12th find or something like that. There was money in there. Someone left a £10 note, and I couldn't believe that. It was happy days. Paid for my coach to the football. That did. I was pretty pleased with that one. But distracted it. So Oklahoma, just out of interest, whereabouts in Oklahoma? Because my family on my dad's side is from Oklahoma.
It was just south of Oklahoma City, so I think it was Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, that's very, very strange there. Yeah, so my granddad was from McAllister, and his mum was from Norman, Oklahoma. Oh, that's cool, dude. That's close.
It's a small world.
That is a small world. How bizarre. How bizarre. Isn't that where the Sooners are based? Is that Norman, Oklahoma? Or it's near
Yes. Yep.
Norman? Yeah, cool. Slight distraction there. I told you we get distracted. So, in terms of planning your earth caching, what goes into planning an earth cache then? Because I'm curious to know. So, first of all, what goes into planning them, and the traditional ones that you've hidden, how easy are they to maintain?
So it all depends on how you want to hide the traditional ones. In my area where I live, we get a high amounts of snow, rain, heat in the summer, so they get all four seasons, and they're definitely a little bit more to maintain. Only because they'll get waterlogged eventually. You had to go out, replace like the rubber ring around the container or the log sheet, and normally I'll wait until it's like there's a log that says like needs maintenance or something similar. Or if I'm just in the area, I'll go check on it. And it's like once a year, I may have to replace a log or something like that. When it comes to an earth cache, those are, it's a different type of reviewing process. So there's going to be a reviewer, and reviewers, just so everyone is aware, they work for free. They are not paid by geocaching. They are total volunteers. So once you put something in, it normally takes anywhere from like a day to a week for them to kind of review it, make sure your cache page is good, make sure the coordinates match up, it's not in an unsafe area, too close to something that's not supposed to be. And that's with like the traditionals and all that. Earth caches, you have to get explicit permission from the land manager, and that should be with all caches, but they specifically require it. They want to name a phone number, someone to contact for an earth cache, only because it could bring you to sensitive areas in nature, and they want to make sure that's okay. They don't want a bunch of people all of a sudden going to this one spot, trampling something that like was sacred in that area, something like that nature. And it's just going to be a little bit bigger of a process.
Fair play. That makes sense. That makes sense. So that first cache that you went out and you hid, so you go out, you find the location, and then what happens? How does it work from there? You know, what kind of information do you have to share to do that?
So once I find the location, I have a pretty good app on my phone that I'll set my phone right at that spot, and I'm going to collect the coordinates first of that spot, and I'll let my phone settle for like a quick minute, just because those numbers can float, let the GPS settle a little bit. And once I get those coordinates, I'll go write them down, take a screenshot, whatever I have to do. When I go to submit it, they want you to come up with the name of it, come up with the difficulty of it. Is it something that like you walk up to it and you can spot it right away with a 1 difficulty? Or is it something you may have to move things, move your arm in like a really strange angle, finding a little like nano container on a huge like army tank or things like that. Terrain, one terrain is wheelchair accessible. And that's really good to know. Like, think of yourself like if you're sitting on a bucket, am I able to reach this container? If not, move it to at least a 1.5 or a 2, and it can go all the way up to a 5 terrain, which is you need usually special equipment, whether that's a kayak, climbing ropes, something like that in order to get. And you can write up a description on it. You can put as much or as little into description as you want. I've come across ones that don't even have a single word on it, or I come across ones that people put a lot of time and effort into that like they say I have like explicit permission from so and so. This is where I want you to park. This is how I want you to kind of go about finding this, just to make it like safe and fun for everybody. You can put in attributes like it's a parking grab, it's kid friendly. There's a gas station nearby. There's like 100 different types of attributes you can put on geocaches, just so people can like they can kind of like search for ones that like allow people to search for ones that are like strictly wheelchair accessible and just go for those or anything like that nature. After you're done with that, you can just submit it to the reviewer and they take a look at it.
Oh, that's awesome. I never thought about that, actually. I never thought about sort of wheelchair accessible. And obviously those ones, they will be entirely suitable for that. The first one we found was one in the terrain. Obviously, I keep saying it was the wife who found it, and that was a nano. Okay, I was telling Jason Hale, the Hailmeister, when we had him on. So we were looking. I was down. I was, I was excited. First one looking for, crawling around on my knees. My daughter's down on her knees for crawling around and having a look. And the wife's, I don't know if it's here. I don't know if it's here. And the wife goes, funny enough, there's a little black magnet stuck to that sign. I was like, what? Sorry. She says, oh, it's just a little black magnet. I picked it up and had a look at it. I put it back. I don't think it's what we're looking for. I bet you $2 to the owners that is exactly what we're looking for.
Yep.
And it was. Yeah, so it was. And it was a nano, so it's the first one we found. So that was, that was pretty exciting. So when the reviewer goes on, does he have to go out and visit each single one of them, or is he just reviewing the information that you're sharing and making sure that that's, what you're looking for?
So with reviewers, they're just looking at the information only because they are regional reviewers. So the one we have in our region, he reviews most of, probably I would say half of Western New York, which could be like a 2-mile radius any which way. So geocaching isn't going to ask them to go out to every single site.
Oh, makes sense. That does make sense. Yeah. So in terms, like I say, so you set your location then, and we know that once you set it up, anybody who finds it, you get an email then, don't you? Am I right in saying you get an email to say somebody's been out and found it, and you get an email as well. And these are the worst part of it for me. Those did not finds. You get have you had any did not find emails come through?
Yes, I get them all the time. More so than not, they are from newer geocachers to the game. And many times if I get that email, they'll come from also like my like more difficult hides. And I'll take a look at their account. If they have like 3 finds, I'll be like, hey, like I recommend going for like those traditional icons, get you used to the game a little bit more before you try to find this one. And sadly, like I don't tend to really get a message back. And I look at their account and they haven't really found anything much after that. But I do try and help out where I can because I do want people to gravitate towards the game and continue on.
Yeah, so I've only had a couple that I didn't find. Okay, so the second day that we went out to a place near me called Westport Lake. And I think there was about 9 or 10 as we walked around. And it's great because I've been to Westport Lake many, many times before. And it took me off the beaten track. I got to see things that I'd never seen there before. I didn't realize how close the canal was. I didn't realize there was other paths off. I thought they led off to different like housing estates or something that were nearby. They don't. There's other paths and parks to walk around. So I was really, really impressed. But it was on that day that I had my first did not find. Now I didn't log this one for that very reason. First of all, I was literally just cheated into double figures, I think. So I thought, if I log it, first of all, no one's going to take me that seriously because you don't know what you're looking for, this lad. But second of all, it had been found that morning. So I thought, it's me not finding it. It ain't that it's not there, that I can't find it. So I'm not going to log that. And then the second one that I couldn't find, these are the only 2 so far. I did log this one because I'd looked on it and there was loads of comments, people saying they couldn't find it. It wasn't where they expected it to be. The guy had commented back on a few saying, that he'd moved them. Now, it may very well have been there, and I was rubbish, and he's probably looked at it and thought this guy's got less than 20 finds at that point, or not looked. But I was pretty convinced it wasn't there. And the last time it was found was in July of last year. And because these things bug me, these things eat away from me. There's a little bit of me that just I can't let these things go. And I've been on a few times, and nobody's found it since. So maybe it isn't there. That said, every now and then I think, I wonder if it was there. Did I look there properly? Maybe I'm going to go jump in the car and drive back out there. Did the DNF eat away at you like they eat away at me?
Yes. So when I first started geocaching, the 2 closest to my house, one is like a fake rock by like a small like sewer ditch drain. The other one is like a fake screw and like a gate. I went to those locations like 5 times each just because I couldn't find it. I knew it was there, but a lot of the times I will log those did not finds only because when I'm looking at the map, like on a fresh day, if I'm in an area, I'm like, oh, I couldn't find this one like 2 years ago, but it's been found like 10 times since. Like, let's go back to that because I know I just missed something last time. It's there. Just to give you a hint too, on the geocaching website, there is an option to watch a geocache. And when you click that watch feature, it'll give you emails every single time someone either finds it or did not find it. So you don't have to take a look again on the map and specifically pull up that geocache. So if you put that watch feature on and you get a notification like 3 days later that someone finds it, you know it's still going to be there.
That's a pretty solid advice, that is, dude. I was completely unaware of that. Wow. So you mentioned it as well a little while ago, and I meant to circle back, and then I forgot we started talking about other things. Favoriting, when you favorite a find, and do you look at that specifically when you go into an area? Like we had a comment there, I think from your dad saying that you do a great job pre-planning the trips. Do you look at those ones as well, the ones with a lot? Because I know the Hailmeister was saying he looks at the ones with a lot of favorites.
Most definitely. And more so than that, it'll be because I'm going for, like, say, a milestone find. Like, I don't want, because I recently got 8,000 a couple weeks ago, and I don't want that 8,000 just to be like a simple hide. I want it to be something a little bit more special. So I'm going to look for those hides that have like maybe 50 plus favorite points, something that people are really going to love. I found hides that are over 1,000 favorite points.
Really?
And those hides are more so like New York's oldest geocache, Ohio's oldest geocache, and something a little bit more special. They've been in the game a little bit longer. Or my dad is listening to this, and I brought him for his, like, I think it was 7,000th find or 6,000th find. It was called like Sword in the Stone. And it was like a DIY sword in the stone that you had to like kind of solve a puzzle to pull the sword out, and it gave you the container, and really fun.
I'd love to find something like that. You know, I'm taking a trip next month. I've got my cousin who's coming over from San Antonio in Texas and some of his friends. We're starting off from London and we're heading north on a road trip around the UK. And I'll tell you what, you know, it was supposed to be a trip. Well, it is going to be a trip where we hit a lot of pubs, a lot of historic places as well. But I might have to do a little bit of geocaching. I want to find something like that, something a little bit more unique. Because as fun as it is to find the Tupperware tubs and the strange little bolts attached to the back of the sides, I'd love to be able to find something just a little bit more unique. I don't know. Is that more of a American thing? Do you think, or you know, because of what the stuff I watched, the videos that I've watched, like say Hailmeister puts out there, he finds some pretty fantastic things, and maybe I've not ventured far enough. But is it a bigger thing in America than it is anywhere else in the world? You know.
That is all the way around the world. Like I said, like the reason why I'd want to go to like the UK, Germany, is because a lot of those that you've seen on Jason's page, like that's what you're going to see up there. You just have to search for, there's an option in the app that you want to look for only ones that are like 100 plus favorite points. And those would pop up immediately because when you originally open up the app, you're going to see thousands of different options. You're not going to know necessarily like what you want to look at the time. If you can narrow in that search and be like, that's my destination for today, or you see like a batch of like 10 in the area, I want to do that this weekend. And because when I first started, I wasn't finding those like top-notch geocaches. I was just finding the generic like traditionals, getting myself used to the game. You almost want to find those like a little bit later on in your career when you know a little bit more, because they're like puzzles and things of that nature.
Yeah, wife loves puzzles. So I'll make sure this is with me when I start looking at things like that. So the other thing you mentioned earlier was like you found that you did, was it in Maine? You know, was when you were on a cruise, and this is what excites me as well, because you know that we did this episode this year about geocaching. I've done a couple of cruises, and I've got one planned. Got one planned for this year in August. We're heading down to the Canary Islands, so we're going around Spain and Portugal. So I can promise you this: I'll be paying for the Wi-Fi package. I can do a few while I'm there as well. Wife's going to be, she loves it now. She's probably going to be sick of it by the time that I'm done taking her around these places. But hey, ho. So the other thing then that I wanted to talk to you about, we spoke about it a little again, you know, at the start. I think we wanted to talk about trackables. Do you want to tell us exactly what that's like? We touched on it a little bit with Scott, and you know, and a little bit with Hailmeister, but not really. You know, tell us about trackables, where they can be found, and you know, and for your own experience, stuff that you found and that you can track.
So trackables, they are basically a game piece that they can range from like an old set of keys that someone wants to like set out in the world and like have it travel. I actually brought a couple. So when I went to my past event, someone talked to me saying, hey, like, and each trackable has a mission attached to it. They can be as simple as just going from cache to cache across the world. It could be a specific destination. Like I want this to go to Australia or to Germany. And someone gave me this trackable in Iowa. It's 3D printed, but it says like track me on geocaching.com. It has on the back the name of it. It's called Big Ben. It has like there'll be a tracking number attached to it. And that goal is to visit to Philadelphia. But when the person handed it to me, it was like mid US and they have no chance of really getting it closer to its destination. They're like, you live in New York, you can definitely bring it closer than I can. So I picked it up. I'll drop it off in a geocache at some point, just getting it closer and closer to its goal. And it can also be as like, this is a metal tag right here. And most of them are metal tags. They'll have like a trackable code on the back that like when people find them in geocaches, it's very specific. Like go to this website, put in this code. When you put it in, it's going to give you the goal. And I'll take a look at those. So like you have like trackable hotels, they call it. They're actual geocaches. And when you open it up, they'll have like 10 to 20 different trackables inside. And some of them are really cool. And the owner will put out like a container, like this container, the trackables goal is to go south. This one, it's to go north. And I'm like, well, I'm going south. I'll take a look at these ones. Oh, its destination is to go to New York. I'll bring this along with me. And I tried to help out where I can with those. But most of them are just like getting out and about. I want to visit waterfalls. I just want to go from cache to cache. And they're all unique in their own way. Many times they do get like lost in someone's duffel bag or backpack, and someone may not come across it for the next like 3 years. Or other ones like the US tends to realize that if they can get it to Germany, those don't tend to like get lost. They will float around Germany and travel so much because up in Europe, they take really good care of their geocaches.
Yeah. Listen, we're very familiar with our Teutonic cousins. You know, the Germans, they take things very, very seriously. They're very, very precise, and they don't mess around. Yeah, yeah. God bless them. They have that reputation, and believe me, it's very well deserved. So where do you get these trackables from then? Where can you pick one up? You know, say for example, I wanted to get a trackable. I want to hide it out here somewhere in my hometown of Allsage, in a sleepy town in Cheshire, and I want that. Big dream here, really, because I don't know how many people geocache around my town. Not too many, based on what I've seen on the app. I want to get that over. I want to get that over to the States. You know, so you can find it up there in Buffalo. How would I go about that?
So there's a whole bunch of different websites. If you just want to keep it plain and simple, just go to the geocaching website. They have a whole bunch, like a whole checkables tab. You can find hundreds of different types. Their costs can be anywhere from like $5 to $15. So pretty cheap if you just want to like try one to start with. And I would pick, once you buy one and you get it shipped, I would pick a geocache that you know is going to be found like a little bit more often, or look for those trackable hotels. Like I wouldn't put it in one that like it's really close to a a place where it's going to be a high, like we call it a muggle area that has a chance of being stolen or anything like that. You want to put it like in the woods a little bit more, so you know, like the next person that comes by, more than likely they're a geocacher, they'll pick it up, take care of it. Kind of close to, like, you don't want to put it super deep into the woods that's only going to be found once a year and the odds of it moving are very slim. You want to kind of keep it close to like urban areas if you can, but still hidden.
So you mentioned muggles there. Tell the good listeners what muggles is.
So what we call muggles, they are the people that do not know what geocaching is. You may even have like people call it like muggle wives, muggle husbands, that their like partner doesn't geocache at all, but they do. And that's kind of how we just refer to the standard everyday people.
So you mentioned it there as well, in terms of good places. And to be honest, again, more fantastic advice and where to hide it. But when you're geocaching, do you prefer, I'm guessing by your background, that you like the rural locations. How much urban geocaching have you done? Because that one intrigues me most. A, how you can find it in a busy location and not get spotted. And B, I just love being in a city. You know, it might be because I'm from a small town, but I love being in a city. So it's something I'd like to do in a city.
So how I tend to base it, because I found plenty of urban stuff, but with my travels, I tend to, during the day part, I will go find like the ones out on the trail in the middle of the woods. When it gets closer to the night, when there's less people out, that's when I'll go do the more urban areas. It's less likely I'm going to get spotted. Someone's going to question me, and a little bit just like if it's in a parking lot and at night, no one's going to be there. Generally, you can park right next to it, kind of block the car from like the hiding spot and sign in. And that's kind of how I base it. And it tends to work very well.
Cool. The other thing I want to ask you before we want to talk about events as well, you know, one of the things I said at the start, we want to hear about events because something I think, you know, if they're doing the UK, I'd definitely like to attend. But like I say, you've given us some great tips and some advice, stuff that I'm going to be taking on board this weekend. I asked Hailmeister the same thing. I didn't ask Scott because I wasn't that familiar with the idea of it before. I take a backpack with me. What's the kind of stuff I should have in my backpack before I head out geocaching?
Look to see like what kind of area you're going to be in, because what I'll do, there's an attribute on, say, a special tool required. And sometimes on that cache page, it'll tell you what you need. Other times it doesn't, because it's a higher difficulty and they kind of want you to guess, bring a whole bunch of them. I always recommend tweezers, just in case you had to pull a log out, AA, AAA batteries, in case you have to power something. I've needed jumper cables before for a geocache. Sometimes you have like collapsible ladders that you can bring so you don't have to climb that tree or a bridge, and they can get as small as like a foot compacted, but then when you extend it out, it's like 15 feet long. I recommend like a magnet, or just like a small rod, and it pulls out to like 3 feet, that if they dropped it into a pole, it's at the bottom of the pole. Well, you can't reach your hand in there. You're just going to get it stuck. So getting one of those magnets to pull it out. I also have one, there's a mirror attached to the end of it. So, and it comes in handy because you'll have, say, like a fence line. And at the bottom of the fence line on each individual post, it's hollow. And there was one, like a very small nano in one of those posts, but you don't know which one. And instead of getting like your fingers or hands all dirty trying to feel for it, you can kind of take the mirror and see where it's going to be on that fence. And a lot of things do come in handy, more so than not. It's just those tweezers, making sure you have plenty of pens, just because you're going to lose your pens at some point. It's what geocachers do.
I couldn't. I have a space pen. Yeah, I was bought a space pen when I was a kid, and I lost it. So it is good advice that. But yeah, and I rebought myself one a couple of years ago, and I would be gutted if I lost it. I love those things. It was magical to me when I was a kid. Yeah, I'm in my 50s now, and I still love the idea of it. But I tell you what, the extension magnet, which your dad has agreed with you, said is absolutely, absolutely necessary. And
Yep.
the mirror, some great advice. And here's some more advice as well. We'll get your dad on next time. Extra logs and lint roller. That's some solid advice as well, isn't it? Because that's the other thing. I like to leave stuff behind. The last one that we found, there was, there wasn't much in there. It was a big tub, there wasn't much in there. My daughter was, I want something, let me have that marble. It's like, no, there's a marble there. Let's leave it there for somebody else. I've got some key rings that I bought and some stickers for the podcast, just to, get a bit of advertising for whoever comes along next, and put a few other things in there for other people to find. Because that's quite nice, isn't it, for people to find stuff when they go along like that. If it's not there, it's nice to add it. And extra logs is a sound idea. That's saving somebody that hassle of having to maintain it on a regular basis. That's some solid advice, Dad. Yeah, definitely. But I will be taking up some of that advice as well, definitely. So events then. Tell us about events. What do they involve? And so
you have...
Sorry, go on. You've been to one recently. Tell us a little bit about that as well.
So that one, it was a mega event, we like to call it. So a mega event is anywhere from 500 plus people that travel from around the area to that specific event, town, wherever they're hosting it. And a lot of the times, a bunch of people out of the country will travel to these events, out of state, like me. Like I had like that 10-hour flight from like across the country to it. And I've been to around 10 of these mega events since I started geocaching. The first one was back in 2022. And each one has their own different like taste to the event. You have one, so there's one close to me. It's more so like a camping style event, more laid back, getting you out in the woods a little bit more like geocaching was intended when it first came out. The one I just went to, what they like to do individual or team competitions. And how that competition works, they hide 30 different geocaches around the woods, but you're timed on how fast you can find them. And the time limit is 2.5 hours. And you have those 2.5 hours to find as many as you can, but you have to turn in and each one there's like a little like stamp or print that like you have a sheet with you and you stamp like I found the first one, found the third one, however it is, but you have to turn that card in before the 2.5 hours or you could get disqualified. And I've been to this event twice now. They move state to state every single year. And the first time I came in second in the individual competition, I found all 30 in like 1 hour. The person that came in first beat me by like 2 minutes. Oh. But this time I went, they hid them a little bit farther apart because they wanted to publish them as actual geocaches after the event. So that very first one I did, they were all very close, all within like 200 feet. You could find all of them in an hour. I only found 4 this time because it was along like a river and you had to do major like bushwhacking to get to every single one, or running along the road to then cut into a forest. And it was a lot more effort put into this one and bringing you back more to the roots of the game, what you used to have to do. Wow. And then you have like, I only ever do the individual one. They also do team ones that they hide another 30. And you actually had Hailmeister was part of a team this year. He was at that same event. And I think he got second place as well or something like that. But it's fun. They have like a poker run that you have to go like finding like 5 or 6 different ones. Each one has like a card that you'll bring back, make your best poker hand. And each one has a different like unique taste to it.
I mean, there's some unique ideas, some unique twists on it. And yeah, I do recall seeing something on his Instagram page or his Facebook page, the Hailmeister, where he shared pictures of him, with his trophy proudly, God bless him. Some people like that then. Are you familiar with them? Are they, I'm not going to say, stars of the geocache world, but they're obviously known to other geocachers then. So when you see people like that, are there A, people you recognize there that you see all the time, and B, some of these familiar faces, the likes of Scott Burks and the Hailmeister, you recognize You see them. Yeah.
You definitely recognize them. You definitely have like people coming up to them wanting to take like pictures or say like, hey, like I love watching your videos. I've never had the chance to run into Scott Burks yet, but I do know Jason. Met him a couple times at different events. We actually play like another game called Muncie 2. And that's similar to like half like geocaching, half Pokemon Go. And we're part of like a clan in that game. And it's all fun. We become friends over time. And it's just a community that like when you go to these events, you make new friends and they're everlasting relationships. And if you ever come into like their area, it can be helpful because you can message these people and say like, hey, like I'm in the area, like you found this geocache, like can you give me a hint on it, or I want to meet up and geocache in this park or whatever it could be.
Oh, that's cool. And so there is a real community then, you know what I mean? There's a real spirit about it. People want to get out there and they want to assist you with it. It's not competitive.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. That is really good to hear. So one thing I've got to ask then, and I saw something, you know, when we're talking about sharing posts, we're talking about sharing posts on social media. You guys, you love an acronym, you DNF, so you did not find. Well, I learned a new one the other day from your Instagram, FTF. First to find, dude. Tell us about that.
So that is a part of the game that not everyone enjoys or goes for. But I find that game because of my background in the sport of ninja. I like to be competitive. And that's one part of the game that you can be competitive with. And so I have set up an email notification that whenever a geocache gets published, I have it within a 50-mile radius of my house or wherever I'm traveling to, that once it gets published, I get the notification. And if I'm free, I'll be like, let's see how far away it is. Oh, it's only 10 minutes away from my house. I'm going to go for it because I want to be the first person to put my name on that log. And I'm up to 230 first to finds since I first started out.
That's
and
impressive.
The most I've ever done in a day is 22.
22 first to finds in one day?
Yes.
Dude. I mean, you are competitive.
Yes.
22 in a day is competitive. Are there anybody else like you around in the area that is really, really competitive? And you know,
there definitely is. There's one person that you see his name on like more than half of like the new geocaches that gets published. That like more so than that because the reviewers can publish them at any time, and you can choose to, when you're like submitting a geocache, you say, hey, I want this published at 5 a.m. Well, at 5 a.m, I'm going to be dead asleep. Those competitive people can go find them. But by the time I wake up at, say, like 9 o'clock or whatever, and one just gets published, I'll go for that one. But there's one person that he'll wake up like right early in the morning and he'll go for all those like 6 a.m. finds. And very rarely do I go for those. Like if it's one that gets published like last night and I know about it, to start the day, I'll set like an alarm to wake up and go for it. And I've actually ran into him like a couple times going for a first to find myself. Or there's times I'll beat someone by literally like, I signed it. By the time I get back into the car, that's when the next car is pulling up. I'm like, I beat you by 2 minutes. But it is a fun competitive part of the game. A lot of times the hider will put a special first to find prize in the geocache. And I can't tell you how many, like I found so many that there used to be a hider in our area. He used to put foreign currency into geocaches. So I have a bunch of like bills for like Indonesian currency, India, China, Japan, like so many different places I'll probably never get to. But it's a nice collectible item, or people will put like a $1 bill in it or a $5 bill, gift card, whatever it is. People like to have fun with it.
That's nice. I like that, dude. And I love the community spirit about it, dude. I love the idea of sharing something. You know, the only thing you're going to get back to knowledge that somebody else has enjoyed it. I really love that aspect of it. I think that is fantastic. So we normally wrap things up round about the hour mark, but I do just want to ask you before I let you go. When you get to a geocache, how soon do you hit the hints button?
So a lot of people they try to keep that towards the last possible minute if they're like really stuck on it. I'm more so than I want to find as many as I can get in a day. So I'm going to pull up as much information on that geocache as possible. I'll have that hint button pulled up before I even get out of the car.
I'll be honest with you. I hit it almost while I'm walking up to it. See if I can find it for the wife.
I'll pull that up. Photos that people post. I'll try to pull up as many of those as I can.
Yeah, ditto. I must admit, I always have a look in the previous log, see if you shared a photograph. So at least I know what I'm looking for when I get there. So listen, Logan, I've really enjoyed this chat with you. I think it's been fantastic. You shared some great tips, and I hope anybody who's listening out there who hasn't had a go at geocaching yet, off the back of any of the episodes that we've done, has a go after this one. Because, like I say, you've given us some really, really useful hints and tips. And I will be employing those this weekend as I make my way around Wales. And maybe, just maybe, because I'll be driving, I'll have the wife check a few places to stop on the way there because it's a 2-hour drive. You might think 15 hours is a big drive. 2 hours in the UK, that's a big deal for us, okay? That's a really big deal. But Logan, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for anybody who's taken the time to comment on this episode. I hope you really enjoyed it as well, as much as I have. Did you want to say your goodbye to our listeners then?
Yeah, so first off, thank you for having me on the show. If there's any listeners out there that has any more questions, wants to get into the game, please feel free to contact me or anyone else that you've seen on Scott Burks, Hellmeister. We'd all be willing to help out because we want more people in this game. The more people, the more fun we're going to have. We like to call it our game board, and we like to add to our game board. But thank you to all the listeners out there.
No, thank you very much. And thank you very much for freeing up an hour of your time. You know what I mean? I really, really appreciate it. The one thing we do enjoy on this podcast is to hear from people who are passionate about the things that they enjoy, passionate about their hobbies, their jobs or the other stuff that they do, or just something they want to talk about. So if anybody's listening to this and they've got a hobby that they want to talk about, then drop us a message. We'd love to have you on. And if you want to drop us a message, any questions for Logan, I'll gladly pass them on to him if you don't get hold of him yourself. So thank you very much. And it just leaves it to me to say thank you for joining us, and I wish you all a good night.
Friends around the mic, kicking back, all right. Day turns into night, podcast in the spotlight. Sipping on that brew, talking all